everyone. My name is Evie Lupine. Welcome back to my channel, and today I have another video for you all. I thought, you know what? We have been doing a lot of really heavy, denser topics recently, and I decided it might be a good idea to take a little bit of a break. Take a step back, have a breather, and just talk about some stuff that honestly really doesn't matter. And the idea I had in my head is, and I'm not saying this is going to be an ongoing segment, is pointless BDSM news, because oh my gosh, there has been so much kink adjacent, let's say, stuff happening in pop culture that I am dying to talk about. So this might still be educational, it might still be entertaining, but primarily it's going to be lighthearted, relaxing, kind of junk food content, if you will. But honestly, I'm just super excited. So the first thing that I have to talk about is a little jewelry store down in South Carolina called Hermosa. And you might think, okay, looking at this, it's like every other beachy, coastal little thing. It's pastel, it's kind of oceany. Like, what's the big deal here? How is this different than like 100 other stores? Well, what if I told you that this unassuming little cute store puts permanent welded jewelry on 10-year-olds? Yes, that is right, everyone. Permanent welded jewelry and locking jewelry is no longer the sole domain for those of us in DS or MS relationships. Now, for the low price of $150 and a trip to Charleston, you can get a 14-karat gold chain permanently affixed to your tween or teenager's wrists or ankles. And I don't know how else to describe this, so just listen to the advertisement, okay? A welded piece of jewelry is a permanent reminder of a special bond, a promise, a commitment, or a special celebration. It is jewelry that you can live in and do not ever have to worry about taking off. You have just found the ultimate friendship bracelet. You're welcome. And no, I don't think I can say you're welcome to that, Haley. I get the logic of not having to worry about your jewelry randomly coming off. You know, you really want to avoid those Kim Kardashian lost diamond earring levels of panic. I get it.
Wait. My earring's gone! Are you
Oh my god, I'm gonna cry! My diamond earring! What's wrong with you guys? My diamond earring came off in the ocean and it's gone. And there's people that are dying.
However, you know, it's permanent. I get it, kids. They lose stuff, it breaks, they forget about it, they don't want to wear it. I know. But permanent, is that really what the solution is? And it's super weird because as far as I can tell, this is in no way connected to anything BDSM related. It's like it's a totally spontaneous idea where they're like, you know what everyone needs? You know what literal children need? Welded jewelry. And it's like they don't have any collars, anything like a collar, any O-rings, any kind of motif that would in any way suggest to me that they know about BDSM. I just find it so fascinating that they went, you know what? Screw it, make it permanent, put it on there, let's go. Like, just as an idea, as a concept. And you know what? For adults, I kind of get it from the idea of like, well, you know what? Wedding bands, they come off, you lose them at the pool, you know, I get it. You know, the wrist a little bit more secure. However, as a sign of a relationship commitment, we're just coming back around full circle again, aren't we? However, from the way they talk about it on the website, it's like, have a fun, cute bachelorette party, have a sorority night where you all get matching bracelets and not anything really related to a romantic commitment. And you know what? I guess you could also question how permanent this is because they do have many options. I did mention they have a more expensive 14-karat gold option. They do also have sterling silver, and some of the chains look so tiny and delicate. Like, I don't think you could like pull it off with a hand or something, or, you know, maybe on like a bus or whatever, get it caught on a seat. But if you do have a pair of scissors, they do say you can take it off yourself and then get it re-welded. If you have, for example, maybe an MRI, some kind of surgery, a medical procedure where you wouldn't be able to wear jewelry while it's being done. And you know what? So maybe it's more that the permanent is in air quotes and it's really easy to actually take off yourself. But keep in mind, they are doing this on people as young as 10 in general, and as young as 14, without any kind of parental supervision. And for me, that's like, okay, well, imagine a scenario, if you will, when you have somebody that is really, really young that is secretly experimenting with BDSM, because I know, unfortunately, thank you Instagram, that there are a lot of 13, 14, 15-year-olds that are experimenting with BDSM relationships. And maybe they save their babysitting money and they decide, you know what, as a sign of how in love we are for being together for 3 months, let's go and get some permanent fucking jewelry put on. And you know what? When I was in high school, the worst we could do is a $25 promise ring from Walmart, and now you can go ahead and get something welded on your body. And like, all this being said, I am kind of talking about this in an over-the-top fashion. I worry that besides the kinds of, cutesy best friendship bracelet kind of implications of this, that it could also be used in a controlling way. Like, okay, a special celebration, a reminder. What might a parent really, really want to remind their teenage daughter about? And for me, the only thing I can think of are things like a chastity pledge, right? You really want to make sure your 15-year-old daughter is never, ever, ever going to have sex, and you are going to make them promise that to you. And as a reminder of their promise, you are going to get something permanently attached to their body to remind them that they promised, Mom and Dad, I will never ever have sex. I signed the chastity pledge agreement, and that's that. I think it could definitely be used in coercive and weird ways that maybe people aren't really thinking about, because I think from, certain maybe more puritanical, more conservative parenting perspectives, this could be a really good way of like controlling and reminding your kids about something. Maybe just being paranoid, right? I think I am to some extent, but that is certainly something where I go, what else would you do this for versus a different kind of bracelet or different type of article that is more easily removed? And so, you know what? I would love to know what you all think about this. I'm being a little bit hyperbolic here because it's fun. I don't really think it's like damaging in any real way, but I would love to know what you all think. Is this kind of weird? Do you think it could go with like, I don't know, like an abstinence pledge? Like, what do you see this really being used for? Do you like it? Does it make you cringe? Do you think this could be connected to BDSM in some kind of like subtle way? Because I don't really think it is, but I could be totally off on that front. Maybe you want to get something like this done. Maybe it's a really good way to have a super easily explainable piece of jewelry where your family's going to go, oh yeah, I know that place. It looks super cute and fun. I love that idea. And they have no idea the reason you got it is because of your DS relationship. Could this be more kinkified? Maybe. Again, I do really think this is just kind of like funny. That's something that's so strongly typically associated with a 24/7 long-term commitment DS relationship is being sold at like a tourist boutique on the coastline. Did not see that one coming. Now, for our second story, speaking of Kim Kardashian freak out about diamond earrings, our next story is about Kim Kardashian, but not in any way related to any kind of jewelry. Instead, what happened is that Kim went on the Ellen show and she was wearing a full-length latex gown. And that by itself is not really necessarily news. The entire Kardashian clan has been wearing the skin-tight fetish wear for a number of years now. However, what was interesting was not just what she was wearing, but what she was talking about while she was wearing it.
So I have to ask, it's my job as an interviewer to ask about the tattoo. Everyone said, because he posted this the selfie sort of, right? And they're reading into it saying that there's a tattoo that says Kim.
Yeah, he has a few tattoos, a few cute ones, you know, that he got. But this one is it's not, that one, the Kim one, isn't a tattoo. It's actually a branding, like a branding. Because, let me explain it, because he wanted to do something that was really different. Because, like, okay, first tattoo he got, I was like, oh, so cute, thank you, oh my God. So, you know, second, whatever, I'm like, oh, that's so cute, but like, that's what tattoo people do, right? Like, they get tattoos of what's going on in their life, and
Wait, back
so
up,
I was like,
back
am
up,
I
back up.
special?
You said first tattoo, so he has 3 tattoos of you? All right, but when you say branding, so like literally like an iron thing
Yes.
went onto his body
Yes.
to brand Kim.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Well, you are a brand when you think about it. Wow.
Because it's like, I don't know, like, I just think he was like, I want something that's there that I can't, you know, get rid of my tattoos, because he's in the process of getting rid of his arm tats and his neck tats. So he's like, I don't want to be able to get rid of it or to cover it up, and I just wanted it like there as like a scar on me.
I think considering her recent separation from Kanye West, wearing a full-length black latex dress to a daytime talk show is a little bit of a power move all on its own, but the real subject is that Pete Davidson, who is Kim's recent new partner, got a branding on his chest of Kim's name. And she describes it as being cute. And you know what? I get it. I know that brandings and scarification, other types of body mods, are done by vanilla people that are just into body modification. It's not exclusively a kink thing. But seriously, I cannot be the only one that looked at that dress, listened to the interview, and then had an idea in their head of like, oh, well, this kind of has a little bit of like DS vibes to it, you know? And they seem really, really connected. They seem really, really close. And I am not trying to say they are in a secret DS relationship, but it is a fun headcanon to have that they could be in that. But I'm not saying it's what it is. I just think it's so interesting, because I think this is a good way of demonstrating how power exchange and vanilla relationships are not necessarily always that different from each other. I think a couple of years ago, I talked about how, for example, there are a lot of people that identify as being vanilla that don't do anything overtly BDSM related, that have kind of daddy girl type relationships. They have that kind of dynamic when they talk to each other, when they go out, and it's not like obviously a kink thing. It's just how they relate to each other. It's kind of like a proto BDSM sort of deal, where that's kind of the seed that eventually ends up growing into BDSM in other people, that kind of take that way of relating and turn it into a more active decision. So again, I don't think they really have a DS relationship. It is a fun thing to talk about, but I will point out that the reason why Pete wants this is very similar to why a lot of people want permanent markings in their own DS relationships. They want to have that permanent reminder of someone that is very, very important to them, something they can't take off, something they can't remove by themselves, and having that level of devotion. Now, I'm not recommending that people go out and willy-nilly get brandings because someone famous did it. That sounds like a really, really bad option, but I do know people that do have brandings in their DS or MS relationships because of how much of a deep level of devotion that can be symbolized with. And I think it can be a really beautiful and wonderful thing. I do not think that Kim is some kind of secret dom. I just think it's kind of funny how coincidental all of these various things are. Kim is certainly a problematic person. She has said some things, done some things, not on my favorite list. I don't really care for her personally. I do know she has been going through a lot trying to separate from Kanye West, and I hope that she and Pete are genuinely happy together, that this is a fulfilling relationship, and that this branding ends up being a good thing for Pete going forward. Now, moving on to our last story, like I mentioned, the whole Kardashian family has been known for a very long time to wear latex, and they are certainly not the only ones. High-end latex designers like William Wilde and Atsuko Kudo have been dressing up celebrities in the Fetishwear for music videos and red carpets for quite a while now. However, I can't help but notice it seems to be even more of a trend now, especially in the last couple of years. New York Fashion Week happened a couple of weeks ago, and every fashion blogger under the sun has been mining through all of the various collections to see what trends there might be for the upcoming season and for the next few years. And certainly, kink and latex are something that a few different people noticed. Now, I am by no means a fashion expert. I did not go to school for fashion or for design. I love me some Holo Mode. I love Project Runway. However, I am definitely not an expert. I am much more of an expert in fetish wear and BDSM, however. And certainly with Versace's 2022 autumn-winter collection, there were strong notes of that. They had a lot of built-in corsetry, or at least a panel of corsetry in their pieces. For me, it more reminded me of the 17th century style. They also had a lot of latex as well, especially in leggings, but also in things like coats and gloves, and it all worked really well together. Now, Versace as well has used latex in the past, especially recently with their previous spring-summer collection, which had a much more bright color palette to it. I think here in the winter and autumn season with the darker colors, this looks like stuff that would be perfect for a high-end pro-dom wardrobe. But Versace wasn't the only one with a fetish wear moment on the runway. Richard Quinn, who is a British designer, is most well known for his oversized florals and his caftans. So he must have given everyone a shock when suddenly at the beginning of his show, it abruptly turned from garden florals into latex pet play. And oh boy, did people online have opinions about it. The one walking the pup in the stunning all-black catsuit was a drag queen named Violet Chachki, I believe. Again, don't know how to pronounce that. Correct me below if you know how to say it better than that. But actually, Violet has been cited a time or two before in fetish wear and in latex. That, however, did not stop people on the internet from decrying the show as perverted and immoral and horrible and classless. No one has any ideas left, they cried on Instagram. But I personally loved it. I think you can really tell from Richard's designs that it's not just, oh, I'm using latex to be different and edgy. Like, he really embraces the connotations of latex. He loves having designs with hoods and collars and leather and spikes. Like, he really goes for it. He gives me the sense of someone that genuinely loves latex as a material and loves being able to use it in his collections, not just as a mere point of being mysterious and edgy and different, but because this is a thing he personally really likes. I feel represented when I look at his designs, and I stand. I can't help it. I really love it. I cannot wait to see what else he does in his career as a designer, because some of his pieces are totally stunning. I will also point out, this could be a design knockoff, or it could be maybe a custom-made Mr. S leather hood, but I'm pretty sure the pup that got walked down the runway was wearing a Mr. S leather pup hood, and I just love that little note right there. Richard Quinn also released several other collections in 2020 and 2021 that had very overt use of latex and fetish motifs, and honestly, again, I just love it. All I can say is, can someone call Rihanna? Can they collaborate? Can she wear some of this stuff? Because, oh my gosh, the looks would be immaculate. Now, for further evidence of the trend, back in 2020, Saint Laurent also had an autumn-winter ready-to-wear collection that also heavily featured latex, especially in leggings. They also had blouses and bustiers and dresses and just about every other article of clothing that you could imagine at least once done in latex, which I think is really, really interesting because why would there be this shift into latex? I know with many of, especially the larger design houses, they are having a lot of pressure to move away from things like animal products and fur. And so maybe the use of latex is a good way to have an extra layer of design and texture in their designs, in their collections that would normally be done with other types of materials, but because of the uniqueness of fur or crocodile leather, there has to be a replacement for that, and maybe latex is part of that replacement. I think it can also be a way for a designer to show how good they are at construction and having a diversity of ways they can make garments, because if you don't know this, latex has to be glued together, not sewn, and so it is a completely different animal when it comes to actually being able to make a garment of that type. So with all of this, could latex be something of a trend for the 2020s? Are we going to see latex being sold in Macy's? I think there could be a possibility for that, simply because it is, I think, getting more popular. It is getting more recognition. And looking back on trends, going in a 30-year cycle, we certainly saw a lot of things in the 90s, a lot of really famous, well-known runway shows that also involved latex. So maybe that is kind of coming back around. We're kind of coming back into that 90s aesthetic, and it has been a really popular form of alternative clothing for a long time. We have seen the reemergence of the emo aesthetic and the e-girl on places like TikTok, so I think there is really a strong underlying trend towards that more mysterious alternative kind of maybe sexy dark way of dressing, let's say. So I think it could possibly happen, but I don't know exactly how far that trend will go. If it will keep being, the Rihannas and the Nicki Minaj's and the Kim Kardashians of the world wearing latex and not the rest of us, or maybe it will be something that we see more and more of as part of public fashion, just on an everyday basis, because, people kind of laugh at fashion shows and they go, oh, it's all ridiculous, who would wear this stuff? Obviously, some people do. But the point is that it trickles down, right? You see the fashion shows, you see the higher end garments, and those in some way kind of predict the trends or influence the trends that end up falling down to the more mainstream general fashion. The nasty gals and the Macy's and the where else do people buy clothing? I don't know. I just buy stuff from Etsy. I don't know. But in any case, where people generally get their clothing from, that is going to be influenced in some way by things like this. So that really could be part of the equation here. However, I do also want to note that I imagine for some people, the idea of latex becoming a popular garment separated from its BDSM connotations, that could be something that people are really against, kind of seeing it as cultural appropriation maybe. And I get why, because you have someone like Kim Kardashian, like stars in music videos wearing latex, and they are lauded as being sex icons and amazing and free and showing their body in a positive way and not being afraid to just let it all be out there, Whereas for most of us, if we went into the local grocery store wearing a full gown length latex dress, or we wore a latex gimp suit or a hood or something, we would most likely, be stared at. We might even be filmed. We might end up being a viral cringe TikTok. Who knows, right? There are many different possibilities there where for some people, latex is this accessible thing that can be worn as like a high-end fashion statement, where for other people it is still demonized as being bad fetish wear, people forcing their sexuality onto others. It has still a lot of restrictions around it, and so I get that. But I think it is also worth looking at the history of latex and how latex became popular and what the origins of it are. So a little bit of a history lesson here on latex. Of course, people have been using rubber, which is what latex is, for a very, very long time. However, the development of common rubber garments didn't start happening until the middle of the 19th century. Originally, it was primarily used for medical and military purposes, but with the invention of the rubber Macintosh raincoat in 1824, it soon became a craze. The early phrase of the thrill of macking, I think, hints towards people having maybe a little bit of a fetish interest in it, and it was certainly something that people fetishized from very early on into its creation, and I think it had even a little bit of a place in the alternative underground scenes of the pre-war era. However, with World War I, World War II, that really changed, and the material wasn't readily accessible anymore. It really went away for a long period of time. That, alongside the renewed social conservatism of the post-war era, rubber garments weren't really seen again until around the 1950s, when they started to gain popularity. Then punks started to adopt it in the 1970s, and by the 1980s, you saw it again as a form of alternative club wear. And soon enough, there were magazines and organizations dedicated to the allure of the rubber lifestyle and wearing latex. So I think it is important to remember, when we think about the context of latex as being BDSM fashion, it was originally designed for a very different purpose. It was not invented by the kink community by any means. It was something that the kink community adopted, but it was also rain boots and raincoats. And so I think there can be times where, like in the case of Richard Quinn, it is very strongly borrowing, in fact, directly referencing the BDSM and the fetish implications, but it can also just be another type of material like chiffon or like jersey fabric. And so I am not really sure that I want to say it's always like super bad, cultural appropriation to wear latex in a non-kinky way. I don't want to go to that place. I just think it's worth considering and thinking about, and I would love to know what you all think about that. Are you okay with like big fashion designers using latex? Do you think it's kind of weird to use it and have it not be like a sexy, kinky thing? Love to know what you guys think about it, because I am certainly not settled on that issue. So for me personally, am I really upset that latex might have more mainstream popularity in the next couple of years? I don't think I really am, because I am choosing to look at it from the perspective of, well, I don't have any control over it, but maybe this might be a good thing for people that do make latex as fetish wear, because there are very few places where people can get skin-safe latex to make garments from. And maybe more demand from a bigger audience means that that becomes more accessible and there are more choices and more options. And I think that could be a really, really good thing. As long as the people that are wearing latex don't go out of their way to like make fun of people that wear it for a fetish, or deride the kink community, or make fun of people that do the BDSM lifestyle. That's all I really want, is just not to be made fun of, honestly. Pretty low bar, I know, but that's just what I hope, right? Can you imagine if somebody went on like a daytime talk show and was wearing a full latex outfit and was like, BDSM is bad for women, it is anti-feminist, meanwhile like wearing fetish wear? That would be really funny for me.
Hi everyone, this is Editing Evie here. I'm recording this at 2 a.m. It has taken me so long to edit this video that the Met Gala happened. And of course, fashion moments happened. And I'm not going to go into too much detail other than to point out that I feel like all my theories got confirmed, despite the fact the theme was the Gilded Age. There was sheer dresses and leather and lace and latex just all over the Met Gala carpet, and I can't quite decide how I feel about it. Some of the looks were a win, some of them were a miss, and I totally forgot the Met Gala was even happening, because it literally did just happen in like September, so we got like 2 Met Galas in 1 year basically. Anyways, just wanted to point that out because I don't think I could do a video on the rise of BDSM fashion in the mainstream without mentioning the Met Gala. So there you go.
Now, I do also want to note that right before I started filming this, I think leather might also be a trend for women's wear as well, because, you know, usually you do have things like leather jackets, maybe leather cigarette pants, but I'm talking like full-on leather bustiers, skirts, dresses, the works, right? I have seen Rihanna, I have seen Addison Rae, Kim Kardashian. There's been a lot of leatherware out there, and I think that could also be a really good thing because it has gotten really hard to find leatherware for women's fetish clothing. They have had to close down so many things, like the Mrs. S leather side of Mr. S Leather, the Stormy Leather store, and I think that leather should be something that more people have as an option when they want to dress in a femme way. It can be a more expensive material. I definitely want to see more faux leather options that are higher quality as well. And I may be hopeful that with this fashion getting more popular, with this material getting more popular, we will see more of those choices. And I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad about there potentially being more options out there because I like wearing leather clothing and it is really hard to find, even secondhand. And I just want to be able to have that option. Now, anyways, that's my personal take on all of this. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I would love to know your thoughts down below in a comment because this is a totally different video from what I normally do. I just wanted, again, to be lighthearted, maybe more entertaining, and I hope that you all got that. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Let me know, should I do more stuff like this if and when more topics come up, or no, just skip it. Now, I do normally make more educational content, so if you want to make sure to catch that stuff, please do subscribe because I make videos twice a week about all sorts of kink and BDSM related subjects. And also, if you want to support what I do, you can go over to my Patreon. A link to that will be down below. If you do already support over there, thank you so much. It means the absolute world to me. And until I see you next time, I hope you have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.